little more actually, that up to 1 in 6 police officers are now off work due to coronavirus. One police chief, from whom you'll hear in a moment, says the service needs to be prioritised for the vaccine, or he has fears it could not be sustainable. I speak of John Apter, who's National Chair of the Police Federation of England and Wales, and joins me now. Mr Apter, what do you mean by unsustainable? You mean we just won't have enough men and women actually to do the job? Morning to you.
Very good morning, Nick. Yes, in reality, that's the real, genuine concern that we have. And, you know, I've been criticised by some for asking for prioritisation for police officers and frontline police staff. But let me just explain. There are 3 reasons. And first of all, I'm not saying that we should elbow the most vulnerable in society out of the way. Of course, the most vulnerable and of course the NHS need to be up front and centre of the queue. But policing have never had a mention at all. And there are 3 reasons. One is, very often police officers can't mitigate the risk when they're out there in the communities. They have to get up close and personal. They're being spat at, they're being coughed at. It's a vulnerable place to be, and especially with this new variant of the virus that we're seeing, which is spreading so rapidly amongst my colleagues. You know, we are police officers, but we're human beings. We're not immune from this virus. But also it's about the resilience, Nick. And we are seeing, you know, we've already heard in the Metropolitan Police from my colleague Ken Marsh that over 1,300 police officers are currently off, either because they have the virus or they're having to self-isolate. In other parts of the country, the absence rate is about 15% and increasing. So that is a real risk. And the third reason is because my colleagues, and yes, clinically, police officers generally are healthier and fitter, but they can carry the virus with no symptoms showing. But they're then going into the communities and sometimes dealing with the most vulnerable people. So they could be carrying the virus and spreading it. And that's why I urge the Prime Minister to do the right thing. He's relying on policing to be at the forefront of dealing with this crisis in the community, especially with the enforcement and educating people. He needs to help us out a bit and actually show us a level of commitment and put us on the prioritisation list.
Lastly, Mr Apter, if you've got one vaccine, does it go to grandma or does it go to a boy or girl in blue?
Well, it's got to go to the most vulnerable first, Nick. I completely
That's
accept
grandma,
that.
though, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it is, but there's so many vaccines coming out. With policing, Nick, you're talking probably about 200,000 people, probably, there or thereabouts. Look, in the whole scheme of things, I don't think I'm asking too much to make sure that policing is sustainable.
Grateful for your time, John Apter, you're National Chair of the Police Federation of England and Wales. Thank you for that.